Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ITSnippets. Today I'm going to show you how to create a Seedbox, but this time using the application Deluge. So let's get started.
The first thing we'll have to do is obviously prepare our Raspberry Pi. In order to install the image, we can use Raspberry Pi's own software, which is called the Raspberry Pi Imager. You can get that by going to www.raspberrypi.org/software and then clicking download for Windows. Once it's been downloaded, you install it like any other Windows application. In order to run it, click on your start bar and click on Raspberry Pi Imager. When user account control kicks in, say yes. As you can see, it's now opened up in front of me. I have inserted my microSD card into my microSD card reader. In this case, I've got one built into the laptop that I use for editing. I'm going to click Choose OS. I'm going to select Raspberry Pi Other. I'm going to select Raspberry Pi Lite because I'm going to build this as a headless server. I'm then going to click on Choose Storage. I'm going to select my 8GB, as you can see here, 8GB SD card, and then I'm going to click Write. Before clicking Write, ensure that the SD card that you have in is either blank or does not contain information you would like to maintain and keep. It says all existing data in SDHC card will be erased. Are you sure you wish to continue? So again, it's giving you a warning like I just did. So click yes. Ignore the cancel when it pops up. Okay, just like previously, you can cancel this alert and this one too. You can see we now get confirmation that it's safe to remove the SD card from the reader and that it's been successfully written. So I'm going to click continue. I'm going to come out of the Raspberry Pi Imager. I'm going to eject my SD card and then put it back in because I want to write a file to it to make it boot up with SSH enabled on my headless system. So let's just do that. So again, I cancel these prompts. As you can see, it's opened up to the SD card. I right click, do new text document. I do Control A to select everything and just type SSH with capitals and hit return. It says, do I wish to change file name extension? The file might become unusable. Are you sure? So I'm going to say yes. And that's that. I can now right click on it and eject it and place it inside my Raspberry Pi. Okay, my Raspberry Pi has booted up, so I'm going to use a program called Angry IP Scanner to find it. I have done a previous tutorial on Angry IP Scanner and how to use it and how to install it. You can go check out that tutorial if required. I'm just going to click Start to scan my network. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for one that's got the host name at a Raspberry Pi, which is the default for your Raspberry Pi. Okay, it's told me it's done. If I sort these by host name, there we go, 192.168.0.56. So I'm going to open my terminal program. As you can see, I've previously connected to a 192.168.0.56. Let's see if that works. It's warning me that the remote identification has changed. That's because I've obviously previously had a Raspberry Pi on this address. So I'm just going to click yes, that's fine. There we go, I'm now logged into the Raspberry Pi. As with any Raspberry Pi, the first thing you should do is sudo su to change to super user, and then do apt get update -y. The -y means it will assume yes on any prompts. And then apt get upgrade -y. This will upgrade any available piece of software. And as you can see, there is stuff to be installed, so we'll wait for that to happen. Okay, after an update, I would always do sudo reboot to reboot the Raspberry Pi. Okay, and that's rebooted, so just click R to reconnect. I'm reconnected, so I'll do clear screen. Okay, before I go any further, if you're using your torrent box for something illegal, and I'll insert my disclaimer after this, you should be using a VPN. If you're not, you're risking legal issues, and in countries like the UK, your ISP is obligated to provide information to the Federation Against Copyright Theft if they believe that you have broken the law. All ITSnippets tutorials are provided for information only. If you use information therefore provided to break the law in any way, shape or form, ITSnippets is not responsible for your actions. This information is available free of charge. Please ensure that you are following the laws of your country and know the risks that you accept should you choose to use the information provided for nefarious purposes. With that in mind, first thing I'm going to install is OpenVPN. So I'm going to do sudo su to become super user. Now that I'm the super user, I'm going to do apt install OpenVPN, if I can spell it correctly, -y, and I'm going to hit return. Okay, when that's been installed, I need to change to the folder that OpenVPN installs to, which is etc/OpenVPN. So to do that, I'll do cd/etc/OpenVPN. Now we'll have to download the configuration file from our VPN provider. So in order to do this, I'm going to do it on a separate window just now. In most cases, you'd go to your VPN provider's website. In my case, I'm using Select VPN. You would click on locations if it's there, and you would choose which one you want to use. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to choose Manchester, and I'm using OpenVPN, so I'm going to right click that and I'm going to copy a link. Just move that off screen just now. So now I'm going to use the command in Linux, wget, and I'm going to paste in the URL that it just gave me. Now if I clear the screen again and do an ls, you'll see I now have gw1.man2.select.openvpn. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to move using the command mv gw1.openvpn, but I want to move it to gw1, change the openvpn to .conf. Now we should have changed it to .conf because that is what OpenVPN prefers. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to create a file called creds.txt or something along those lines. So this is going to contain our username and password, so I'm going to do nano. And this file would be username, password. Obviously, I'm not going to show you my username and password, so I'm going to do a jump cut, and I will be back with you once information has been entered. Okay, now that I've created my creds file, what I'll have to do is I'll have to edit my configuration file in order to tell it to look in the creds file. So to do that, I do nano. And I edit the gw1.conf file, which is my internet provider, or rather my VPN provider's config file. At the line here, auth user underscore pass, I do /etc/openvpn/creds.txt. I do Control X and Y in order to save it out. Now we need to tell it to open all of the VPNs that are in the configuration folder, so in this case there is only the one, and set them up when the system boots. If I do nano /etc/default/openvpn, and see right here you can see we have auto start all, auto start none, or auto start home office. If you only have the one, like we do, the one configuration file, just change that, delete that hashtag so it says auto start all, Control X and Y, and then we need to do a reboot and see if it connects. So let's reboot it and give it a moment. Okay, so now we've got our Raspberry Pi imaged and we have set up our VPN. What we're going to do is we're actually going to install the torrent client, which in this case I'm using is Deluge. So the first thing we'll have to do after doing that is to actually connect to the Raspberry Pi.
So I know the Raspberry Pi's IP at this point. It's 192.168.0.56. I'm just going to double click this to log in. Then I'm going to do sudo su, and then I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do apt install deluge, the D on the end, install deluge. And then I'm going to do apt install deluge, without the D, and then dash web to install the web interface. Okay, that says now got Deluge installed, so let's get it configured. Okay, as we're using a USB hard drive for this, I'm going to change the mount point from my hard drive and create some folders. And the final folder we need is empty downloading, which is the files that are in progress. Okay, so now we've prepared our external hard drive for Deluge. Let's start configuring Deluge itself. Okay, so once we've done that, we have to start Deluged. We do that with sudo service deluge with the D start, and then we need to start the web interface. The web interface itself will not return to a command prompt, so we'll then have to configure it using the actual web interface in an internet browser. So to run the web interface, you call it deluge-web. Okay, now hopefully, if I enter the IP address here, which is 192.168.0.56, and then the port for Deluge, and of course the port that Deluge is running on, which is 8112. So as you see, I've entered that in here, and it's now asking for a password, which should be Deluge. Okay, I'm just going to send over to Microsoft. We recommend you change the default password. We like to do so now, so we click yes. If we click here, we can see the connection manager shows that the status is offline. So we can actually click here to start the daemon. Now you can see it's online, and it's using version 1.3.15, so I'm just going to click close here. As you see, I just clicked on downloads by the side, and I want to do /mnt/torrents/downloading. I want to copy the mnt/torrents part, because I'll need that again. I'll just select that and do Ctrl+C. I'm going to move the completed stuff into a folder called completed. Or did I call it complete? I called it complete. I'm going to copy the .torrent files to a folder called backup. I'm going to auto add the torrents. This is our watch folder. I'll place that in here. Then click apply. And we can check some other settings while we're in here. Our port we don't need to change in, don't need to change in encryption. Setting this to -1 does not limit it at all. You can limit it to specific numbers of KBs if you are, for example, on a metered connection. The interface is fine, others fine, daemon is fine, view is fine, proxy is fine, cache is fine, plugin is fine. If we go into interface and we want to change the password, we would change this. So we put in the old password, which is Deluge, and the new password, and then click change. I want to change the password. It says it's been successfully changed. We can click apply and click OK. So let's try and download a torrent. So I've just went to Ubuntu's website, ubuntu.com/download/alternative-downloads, and I'm going to download the server version of 21.04, which is the latest version. I'm just going to right click on the BitTorrent link, and I'm going to copy link address, and just minimize that just now, and I'm going to click, I'm not showing as connected just now. Let me bring up the connection manager, click on here, and click connect. There we go. Now I can click add. I can add a file or a URL, so in this case it's a URL, so I'm just going to paste the URL in here, click add. You can see it's worked out what the file name is, and if I click add again, we should actually see an error. Okay, it's not giving me an error. So in this case, it's because I already had the permissions set up for the external hard drive. We'll just leave that downloading just now. I'll just move that up here while that's downloading. I'll go back down here. And I'm going to do Control C. I'm not sure about those errors though. Abandon the web interface. Okay, and there we go. It did finally die. So I'm going to clear the screen. If you have an error when downloading your torrent, it's likely to be you when writing to the hard drive. So the best way to get around that is to do sudo cho, which means change owner, /r means recursive, and it's a capital R, pi:, so you want it to add it to the pi user and the pi user group, /mnt /torrents, and hit return. And there we go. That would actually change the permissions if you had problems when saving your torrents. Let's rerun the web interface and see if our torrent is still downloading. Click connect. Yeah, as you can see, it's still continued to download. Okay, it's now showing us seeding, which means it's downloaded it by 100%. So let's go and see if it's in our completed folder. Oh, okay, so because I hadn't reset it, it hadn't selected the correct path, so this is in root/downloads, which would also explain why it worked in the first place. It was downloading to the wrong folder. So if I go back here, go into user, go into the root folder, and it's not letting me. Let's change that. Okay, so that's downloaded to the wrong folder. That's fine, I can just RM that. Okay, so now we need to make sure that Deluge Web runs after each reboot on the Raspberry Pi, and the best way to do that is to edit our rc.local file. So to edit that file, you would do nano/etc. I can spell correctly. This is why I've now normally got a notepad open with all the commands requiring it, and I just paste them in to stop accidents like this happening. Okay, so there we can see that I have a little script in there that shows my IP address. What we want to do is we want to go down just above the exit 0 and enter 3 new lines. Low spike. Okay, once we're inside rc.local, we need to add sudo-u pi, so that's run something as user pi, /user/bin/python, which is the directory for the binary for Python. And I've misspelled user. There we go. No. /bin/deluge/web. Now to ensure this continues with processing the rest of the script, we then add an ampersand on the end, and then we can bring this exit 0 back up. We'll do Control X and Y. Again, Control X and Y to save it, and then hit return. Oh, it's not letting me because I didn't sudo su. That's fine. So Control X and no in this case. And I'll do sudo su. Then I'll do nano etc/rc. Again, sudo-u pi /bin/usr/python/bin/deluge-web/ampersand. Control X, and hopefully this time it'll let me save it. It does. I can go to reboot. I'll give that a moment and then I'll check if it's alive. Okay, now that that's rebooted, let's see if it's available on the web interface. It is. And I've managed to log in correctly. So it would appear that our web interface is now running and our torrent client is now running. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you disliked this video, give it a dislike too.
If you get feedback on this or any other videos or suggestions for videos you believe we should do in the future, then please let us know in the comments below. And most of all, thank you for watching.